very warm evening to you, sir, and thank you for joining us today for this interview session. My name is Shreya, and I'll be leading this interview. And while we go forth with the session, I'll just brief. This is for our viewers who would be watching the session later on when it's on air. So the Early Birds Club, our motive is to form a very well-knitted network of entrepreneurs, mentors, and people who can uplift each other. So when we talk about uplifting each other, it requires a lot of back-end support when it comes to new learners who are there in the market with new ideas with them. So the Early Birds Club was formed with this very intention to make in a dream and a vision true for those who have ideas out there but have limited resources. So as we go forward with this session is called a O2 drive, which is an obstacle to opportunity drive. And when we talk about obstacle, that basically represents that we need to be aiming at such interviews and webinars which are conducted by like-minded individuals and people who actually can mentor towards the right direction to those who are at the learning stage and help others to overcome roadblocks which they are looking forward to hold as the building blocks with some guiding principle for their future ventures. So this is the entire idea of this drive, and we welcome you on board. So I would like to, while we go forward with this session, the topic for today is behind the scene of managing products. So why you are here and why we wanted to interview regarding this very topic to you. I would like you to introduce yourself for our audience. Like, who is Arijit?
So first of all, thank you for having me. It's just a pleasure to be on board, and really happy to see that a lot of people out there are actually helping budding entrepreneurs and professionals. It means a lot. I mean, no one really does that today, but yeah. So good job. So anyway, I am Arijit, and I'm currently a product manager at Wynk Music, which is one of the largest music platforms here in India. I've actually recently joined Wynk. Before Wynk, I was with Housing.com, which is a real estate classifieds platform, and I was leading content strategy products and visualization products over there. Prior to that, I was with Goibibo, which is a travel marketplace, an online travel agency, if you may, and I was managing their mobile platform. Before that, I was with Ixigo, which is again a travel marketplace, and I was a designer actually there. Started my career as a UI or front-end engineer, and then had a very interesting journey where I switched paths to become a designer and then product manager, which I am currently. So yeah.
So we would also like to know about your career path. What did you do so far right? What are the things which you did right in your career path which brought you here?
So I think I've always been passionate and very determined about the things that I want. So actually, back in college, I was actually studying power systems engineering, which is a subfield of electrical engineering. And I never really enjoyed what I was studying, and I was always interested in things like web design, software engineering, building applications, and graphic design, things like that. And that's all I was doing back in college. I never really paid attention to a lot of my studies. So yeah, I decided to make it into my profession and actually earn some money for what I was doing. So yeah, I never sat for my college placements and decided to hunt jobs on my own. Landed my first job at a startup in Noida. Had to apply to 100 companies. 10 of them got back to me. 4 of them, shortlisted my profile, and I got an offer from one. So it had been very, very difficult in the beginning because I was sort of paving my own path. But yeah, it's been interesting, and I think what has kept me alive and kept me going in fact, is the attitude of never giving up and constantly pushing myself to, you know, do better than I am today. So yeah,
So, Arijit, I think your journey so far is a quite relatable of sorts to the current situation. Given COVID-19, many people have been laid off. Many people have lost their jobs. They are hunting for jobs. I'm sure many
right,
people out there need to hear this. That not giving up is something which you need to stick on to, because many people I know, I myself get 100 of resumes every day, asking me to refer internally in my organization or some other organization that I know, and I know that they don't get the right feedback. So this is also
right,
a very core problem in today's employment journey of people, that they don't get the right feedback at the right time. I think if the 100 people you had approached to, or you had sent across your resume to, if they would have just called you up and told you that why you are not getting selected, that would have also been a working as a catalyst in your journey. But that is
right,
what we believe right now has been a lot of struggle for out there for many people. And I hope the kind of journey we are being motivated towards is that we want to help such students and such people who are at the initial stage of the journey to have the right guidance at the right time. This is what the
right.
motivation is all about, and all it requires is the correct person to reach out to. So thank you so much for sharing this with us. And I would like to know that, so since you are currently into product development, am I right?
Yeah,
So I want to take an understanding from you as a layman, that which kind of persona helps in great product development. I'll just give a very small example to you. For example, if I am a teacher, I'm expected to teach in a classroom, then I need to cater to certain kind of learners. So I need to have certain values or persona of empathy, because I need
mm,
to look through a different, through a different scope towards every child. So when you talk about product development, it sounds quite a technical field, but we'll get to that. I want to understand that what kind of persona really helps in great product development.
right. To be honest, empathy is number one. Uh, in product management as well. Reason being, you're actually building products for users, right?
Right.
And unless and until you empathize with users, you put yourself in their shoes and try to understand why they're doing things the way they are and what are why they are facing certain problems, then you won't be able to, build products for them, right? So empathy is number one to begin with, and someone who's really really curious, and constantly keeps asking questions around why is something the way it is. That person can actually be a very good product manager. You have to be very very curious, and you have to be able to put yourself in the shoes of the users or people, other people basically, right? And obviously you need to have an analytical bent of mind, because you need to look at a lot of numbers, make sense of a lot of data, and build your products based on the inference that you draw from that data. So yeah, I think these are the three qualities that you need. Other qualities can obviously be learned on the job. In fact, these three qualities can also be learned to some extent. But what I believe is, people are generally uh, born with these skills. Others can be learned, like technical knowledge, managing people, things like that. They can be learned on the job.
True, true. So, so we would put, what order would you choose if you talk about certain abstract kind of personality traits? Like you had said empathy at the first go. What would be the
Right.
two other things you would put in a row?
So empathy, curiosity, and analytical bent of mind.
Analytical blending. Perfect. So thank you so much, Ariji. Moving forward, so this is my favorite part. I wanted to ask this to someone because I have been being an MBA student myself. I have been a lot of times very much confused around
Mhm.
certain aspects of product management. I always wanted to have a certification in product management because I'm very creative. So I don't know if that
Right.
counts in as a part of curiosity or
Absolutely
not.
does.
So
It does. Creativity definitely counts because you have to come up with creative ways to solve users' problems. So yes, creativity definitely counts.
yes, so let's debunk myths around product management. So, what are the?
Right.
I want you to have a rapid fire sort of thing. You ask
Right.
me what I think about one myth, and I'll give you my response, and then you explain me whether I'm right or wrong.
Okay. So actually, I had written about this very recently on my LinkedIn. Busting myths, the myths of product management. So I can actually start from there.
Sure.
Okay, a product manager is the CEO of a product.
Okay. Of course, because a CEO who is looking, every CEO, every startup has some product in the end, right? That's where the entire process has been defined. But then he has to be the CEO of the product. He needs to know the product deep and profoundly. Otherwise, he would get tangled in his own vision.
Right. This is actually the biggest myth of product management. Product manager is not the CEO of a product. Uh, okay, the CEO is actually the first product manager for a product or a company or startup, but a product manager is not the CEO of a product. Why? Because a CEO leads with authority, and a CEO can hire people, fire people, make large business decisions, right? But a product manager cannot do that. Product manager actually has zero authority over people, right? Product managers are supposed to lead with influence rather than authority. So that is why a product manager is not the CEO of a product. This is actually the biggest myth of product management.
I always thought that the organization for whom I am working currently, it's a edtech company. I always thought that my CEO must be involved in every product. Sometimes it
Yes,
happens that in meetings we ask them questions which are related to the product because we are
right,
confused
right.
about something.
Yeah, so CEOs can serve as a certain can perform certain aspects and certain duties of product managers, but product managers cannot. They don't have that authority.
So good.
Get that?
What's the next myth?
Mm, a product manager is the idea powerhouse of a company.
Okay, so product manager is sorry. Come again. I didn't understood the question.
A product manager is the idea powerhouse of a company, which means that a product manager is the person who comes up with all the cool ideas that the company should work on.
So, from my experience, I feel that a company is built through works on feedbacks and inputs from every stakeholder in the company. For example, if I'm working as a business development, I'll take feedback from the market based on the data that what the audience wants or what the consumer wants correctly. I would bring back that feedback data to my company, and the product team would work on it if it's feasible. So I think not only the product people, but also held some role of the stakeholders in the company who are involved in the process, day-to-day activities. They are also involved to the very core part of it.
Okay, you are actually perfectly right, and this is actually a myth. And ideas can actually come from anywhere, right? A product manager's job is to, figure out what's the best problem to solve at any given point of time. Uh, Bring every stakeholder, bring every person on the same page, align them with a common vision, and figure out what's the best way to solve it. Ideas can come from customer feedback. In fact, ideas can come from business team, from the marketing team, from the tech team, from anyone. It's just that a product manager is going to evaluate that idea and figure out whether that idea or problem is worth solving at that point of time.
Okay. So, what was so? Okay, I'll just ask you one thing very straight. Does it happen that it's being said that when you are developing a new product, so if the product somehow, but is it the process which is important or the final product which is important?
Okay, that's a okay. The answer to that, I may be wrong, but the answer to that is complicated. from what I feel. So if you're actually in in the real world and you're actually building products for a company, then the process does not matter. Then what matters is the final output. Okay, how are users accepting or adopting to your product, right? Or how is your product performing in the market? So the final output matters. But if you are in yeah, if you are in an interview where someone has asked you a question, like a product management interview, core technical question, that's when the process actually matters, not the final result or final output. So that's why I'm saying, I said that it's a bit complicated, because in the real world, the end result matters. But when you're interviewing for a particular position, product management position, then the process matters. Like how you approach that question, how you think about that problem. Can you think about 10 different ways of solving a particular problem? So yeah.
Good, good. Thank you so much, Aijit. So, any other myths with you which you would like to debunk, which you think is the need of the time?
Yeah, actually, there's one big myth, and that myth is that product managers need to be technical, and they need to,
Right.
understand the ins and outs of tech architecture. So that's actually a myth, because you don't actually need to, know coding, or you don't need to understand the, every algorithm or data structures to be a good product manager, or to be a rather great product manager. Um, and the reason for that is you are not writing code every day. You are an enabler, right? You're the specialists are developers, designers. You are someone who enables these specialists to do what they do best, right? So you don't need to know how to code, or you don't need to understand technical architecture. You just need a basic understanding of technology, like for example, how do APIs work, or what are the different kinds of APIs, or how does the internet work, for example. So these are the basic things that you should know. Otherwise, you don't need to know how to code, or the tech architecture, unless you are working in a company where technology is the offering itself, right? For example, AWS, Amazon Web Services, the greatest example. This is somewhere where you need to be very, very technical. You need to understand the ins and outs
This
of.
is this I had received this award from AWS, and
Oh, that's great.
I couldn't understand. So they were all technical organizations,
Okay.
all around the country. There were wonderful startup ideas which were out there, and
Great.
a very slight thing which was missing from those who couldn't win the rounds was the product. So the
Right.
product, they were working all by themselves. So I think they also believed in the myth that CEOs are the that a company's owner is the CEO of a product management group also, because I saw there the people who were pitching the product, they were the ones who had designed it, and they didn't knew certain loopholes. So there is a certain kind of specialization which this this segment in the company brings on the ground. So
Correct.
thank you so much, Arijit. And so moving on, I just want to take an understanding that how much parallelly do you feel that the role of project manager and a product manager has been aligned? So I have been a bit confused whenever I hear about the term project manager. It seems to me like someone who is going to look after the entire project, but in a company which is based on a certain product, that product is the project for the company. So
Correct.
how they are aligned together?
The way you explained is actually correct to a certain extent. So with project managers, what happens is you have to deliver projects, and this generally this project management role is generally uh, seen in service companies, like for example, you might see this in Ericsson or TCS or Infosys, right? And they work on projects rather than products. So, for example, they're working for a certain client, right?
Right.
And they are supposed to deliver a certain project for a certain client. And once they do that, they generally forget about it and move on to the next project from another client or maybe from the same client. So that's how project managers work. Their job is to make sure a particular project gets delivered within a time, within a certain budget, with this within with those the allotted number of resources, right? But a product manager is very different from this person. Although some aspects of project management do you know do overlap with product management, things like doing everything in your power to make sure that your project or product gets delivered on time and it actually gets delivered, and you are sort of the bottleneck remover of these projects or features or products that you're working on, right? So in those aspects, the roles of project managers and product managers are pretty similar. But where it becomes very, very different is, post release, right? When you've released a product manager is the owner of the entire product, which means that once you've delivered the first version, your job doesn't end there. Your job actually starts from there, right? The bigger challenge starts from there, because you have to monitor the product, how it's performing. You have to talk to users, figure out what's working and what's not, and decide whether, I mean, infer whether the product was a success or a failure. If it's a success, then uh, move on to the next version, enhance it. If it's a failure, then kill that product and move on to another product, right? So that's how the roles of project managers and product managers are both sometimes similar and sometimes, and most of the times rather, different.
Okay. Thank you so much. I think I got a very clear idea of now I can at least segment them as different personalities altogether and different roles altogether. Prior to this, I was always confused that project manager is the same as a product manager. So if a company has a project manager, they don't need a product manager. So
That's
this
not.
just a layman vision. Now, when you talk about, so earlier in a question you had answered that analytical skills, you had placed it in an order. That's the reason why I asked you. So, what is the right balance of technical knowledge and management skills you feel that organizations look for in a product management manager?
It actually depends. I mean, depends on a lot of things. It depends on the company. It depends on the product that the company is hiring for. It depends on which side of the business they are hiring for. For example, uh, Facebook as a company would look at very different skills in a product manager than Google. Right? Google would expect someone to be very, very technical. Right? Facebook would expect someone to be very good at design, product design. Right? It depends, like I said. So, for example, if you are on the B2B side of things, right? If you're interviewing or applying for a position in a B2B product management role, then you have to be um, very good at stakeholder management, very good at operational things, because you have to deal with sellers, uh, most probably, right? And whereas if you are on the B2C side of things, then you have to be again very user experience oriented, and you have to be able to empathize with users and put yourself in their shoes. You have to have a very, very good understanding of data. In the B2B side, you can get away with not a lot of data. I mean, you might, uh, you know, get days where you don't have to look at a lot of data. Obviously, you have to, but not as much as in a B2C product, right? So B2C products are completely data-driven products, but in case of B2B, sometimes what happens is, it's client-driven, right? For example, so as a part of my role in housing.com, I was actually working on both B2C and B2B products. So in B2B, there should be times where there was a specific requirement from a seller or someone who's basically a builder or a developer, like for example, DLF or Shapoorji, right? They want to promote their product in a certain way. They want to have certain content on their product in certain ways, right? So you build your product according to that sometimes. But in B2C, that's never the case. You have to be highly data oriented. You have to be empathetic towards your customers. So yeah,
True.
the
True.
final answer is it actually depends on a lot of things.
Yes. So I think people who are focusing always as a employee or as a candidate who is looking for a job, we tend to we tend to also do our background research of our organization we are going forward, right? So
Right.
I think
Mm.
people out there, they are students out there who are preparing their resume or who are building their resume, who are trying to go into this enter this particular role of product manager. They need to first look forward to the aspect of the role, that what kind of market they're going to cater to, and then they have to prepare the resume accordingly and prepare for an interview, that whether it is going to be too much technical or it is going to be too much of a management part, right?
Correct.
So thank you so much, Aiji. Moving forward, so I had seen while doing a background research of my own on your LinkedIn profile, I got to know that you also help in you help startups into branding and everything. But then
Right.
there is also a term which I had came across recently about self branding, how to sell
Right.
yourself out there in the market. In our market caters to all the hiring companies, and how we can market ourselves, what are the do and the don'ts which you would put forward?
That's that's actually a difficult question for me to answer in this uh, you know, short amount of time because the do's and don'ts of self branding. It is a very vast topic. It cannot be covered
I
in
know,
like
I
five
know.
or 10 minutes.
So
Right.
I'll just make it very easy for you. What are the top three do's and what are the top three don'ts which you would like to put forward?
Okay, so I'll tell what I do, right? So you have to be basically, at the. So let's say you're trying to build your own brand, right? You have to identify where your audience is, right? So let's say you are uh, a fitness expert, right? So your audience is most likely going to be on Instagram, right?
True.
So you concentrate your efforts more towards Instagram rather than LinkedIn, right? For example, you are a management consultant or script that you are a freelance SEO expert, let's say, right? Now you have to have your own blog, right? You have to have a really good LinkedIn profile, right? For example, you are a designer. Your audience will be on Behance or Dribble and LinkedIn, right? So that's where you focus your efforts on. So whatever you do, you need to first identify where your audience is. First, identify your niche. Where you want to build your personal brand. Then identify where your audience is, and focus your efforts on those areas, right? The second thing is be active on those areas. For example, be active on those platforms. Sorry, be active on Instagram, right? Be active on LinkedIn. Keep uploading new content. Keep uploading new designs on your Dribble profile if you're a designer. Write a blog every 2 days. Uh, so be active. That's number two. Number three is reach out to a lot of people. Build your network. Do not be pushy. Do not if you're looking for, let's say for example, if you're looking for a job, then don't approach every single person on LinkedIn and say that, hey, I'm looking for a job. Don't do that. That's very unhealthy. What I'm trying to say is, build a network in your niche, connect with relevant people, follow them, see what kind of content they are resonating with, or what kind of content their audience is resonating with. Try to build content like that. you know so I think these are the three things that are at the top of my mind right now. I'm sure there will be a lot which I'm not able to recall right now. But yeah, and don'ts would be do not connect with every single people, every like every single people that you see on platform. Be I mean, connect with relevant people only. Otherwise, your LinkedIn feed or whatever feed, Instagram feed, will be polluted with all kinds of content that you don't want to see, right?
Right.
So do not connect with every single person that you see on any platform. The other don't would be um, okay. This is a tricky one. Like I said earlier, that you have to be active, but you don't be very active. Like, for example, it's okay to post once a day or maximum twice a day, but thrice or four times, that's like telling people unfollow me. Because when people see a lot of something, they just don't want to see it anymore,
True.
right? So yeah, be active, but don't be super active, like you're posting 3 times 4 times a day, right? The other don't that I can think of right now would be um, actually I can't think of anything right now.
No, no, it's absolutely fine. So you are talking out of self experience, and I feel Arjit as an individual who wants to focus on self branding, that self experience is the best experience to take learnings from, and that
Right.
learnings can be limited. You can find books and books on self branding, but only two
Exactly.
three
I think,
points.
yeah,
Yes,
exactly. I mean, these books, these courses, I don't know if they add any value.
they don't.
What
They
I
don't because
feel, yeah, yeah.
you can only
What I feel
resonate with at least 2 or 3 points
exactly,
from those books.
exactly. Unless you go out in the real world and do them or experiment yourself, you won't actually learn. That's
True,
what I feel.
true, absolutely, and that's not everyone's cup of tea as well. But then that's
So
what
it's actually everyone's cup of tea. It's just you have to be
Yes,
like, you have to be very persistent. You have to be consistent. You have to be actually, um, how do I put this? You have to have a thick skin, right? And yeah, so you have, like I said, persistence is the key. Persistence and being consistent in your efforts is the key. You always start from zero, right? You cannot start from 5 or 10. You always start from zero. And the way you push yourself, how much you push yourself, uh, determines where you end up.
absolutely true, Ajit, and thank you so much. You spoke out of your instincts and out of your key learnings, and that is the best part. That is what we are looking for. Uh, you have been a lot vocal about mentoring. I would like to know from someone who is into mentoring that why do you feel that mentoring is important for leadership process, like to get something started or to become a leader for the future. Why mentoring is important?
Okay. So I actually started mentoring out of a personal struggle that I had back in the days when I was starting out. Right. So back in when I was in college, these things weren't really popular. I mean, internet wasn't fast enough, and there weren't a lot of people on social media, like good people on social media. Very few people were on LinkedIn, for example, and resources weren't really, that many resources. Like, for example, today there's for kids there's White Hat Junior. For everyone else there's something or the other. There's Byju's, everything, right? But back in the day, we didn't have a lot of resources, a lot of materials. In fact, we didn't. I personally didn't have someone to guide me. I was trying to pave my own path, like I said. But you know, when you take that step in your life, you need someone to stand beside you and sort of not really hold your hand, but kind of guide you and push you. When you fall and pick you up, right? So I didn't have that person with me. I was doing all of this on my own. So I made it my sort of life's mission to help other people like me uh, by being that person for them, right? So that's how I started mentoring, and yeah, so I personally mentor a lot of aspiring PMs, professionals, and startups. So yeah.
Thank you so much. So, if I put this right, that means mentoring is important for a leadership process to make sure that we are able to embrace the journey in the right way. We don't
Totally.
make a lot of startups, even if we fiddle it all up, then also we are
Yeah.
able to bring it back to square zero and start again. But even to
Exactly.
start again, the direction should be right. So, this is
Yeah.
all about giving direction. So you have been helping a lot of organizations or helping a lot of startups. So that's a very great deal. And I think you must be truly elated within yourself when you hear someone take your name that he mentored me. So that's a great deal actually. Thank you so much. And I want to know from you that now that you're on board with us and we have a lot of enthusiastic minds who are into startups, I'm sure this would help them to understand that how you help in building startups or
Right.
branding startups, if I put it right.
So people have to understand what's the difference between mentorship. I mean, people have to understand there's a difference between mentorship and teaching, right? A lot of times people confuse, and that's where the problem starts. Mentorship. So teaching. I'll explain what teaching is first. Teaching is like uh, teaching is like helping you understand something, helping your let's say you're understanding a particular lesson, then helping your brain understanding that lesson or that particular concept or topic. That's what teaching is. But mentorship is you know developing your brain to acquire that help, or to get that, to understand that help from that's coming from a teacher. Not sure if I'm able to explain it properly, but if I were to so basically, teaching teaches you how to, let's say, lift. Let's say this is a phone. Okay, this is my phone, and I don't know how to lift it, right? So a teacher will teach me how to lift this phone, right? But a mentor will help me build that muscle in order to learn how to lift that phone.
So a mentor, if I put it right, a mentor actually increases the level of understanding. So like I cater to schools and learning projects. So when I go to school, we always say this line that every child has a different capacity to learn. His learning instinct is very different. So a child
Right.
a child A, he might be having a different skill set to learn. He might be able to understand few things in maths, but he misses out few things in EVS. But when we
Right.
talk about mentoring him, that means that we are going to not only give him, extend him the help to acquire that knowledge, we also would be building that skill set for him, so that he not only understands maths, but he also understands EVS as well.
Right. You'll in fact, as a mentor, you'll actually help him identifying what his skills are, and where that person needs to focus their efforts. Right. That's what a mentor does.
That
A
should be
mentor
the
does.
tagline you should lead with, because I feel that understanding what your skills are, and then focusing your channelizing your energy in the right way, that is
A
where we
mentor
miss
won't,
out.
a mentor won't hold your hand and interfere in day-to-day activities. Right. That's something for you to do. Right. A mentor will guide you, give you direction. Try to help you clear your blockers or remove your bottlenecks. That's all. Because at the end of the day, you are the person who's building the product, right? And you cannot expect someone to spoon feed you. Right?
True.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Arijit. And with this, we welcome you on board to the Early Birds Club, and we have been truly honored that you decided to join us, and you decided to give this interview. And
Yes.
this has been a very beautiful journey so far, and we are looking forward to connect with people like you. We would be airing this entire session on our channels and as well as on our media partners page. So our media partners are News Sense and Hamara India Incredible. We have also partnered with organizations, many mini startups like My Startup Yatra. They are also like-minded visionary people who have been helping around 100 startups to mold themselves in the market and put them out themselves out. So we would be requiring your help and assistance, and I'm sure once we post this, we would be also attaching your LinkedIn profile and how to reach you out for people to connect with you, so that right set of people reach out to the right set of people, like-minded people, and they are able to get the support they require. Right? Thank you so much, Arijit, for your time and patience and consideration, and
Thank
welcome
you for
on
having
board.
me.
Right? Thank you so much. Have a very good day.
You too.